All right, we in there.
You there? Okay.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
All right. Before we get started with this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Wakar Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us his truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring and all truth and sincerity. To you, we say shalom.
Shalom.
All right. This is brother Amawan from the GMS Charlotte camp. Got a special guest in the building.
Shalom, Mike Allah, GMS Dallas.
Kind. And pretty much in this lesson, man, we wanted to touch on, this whole thing with the eugenics, but we want to specifically focus on, eugenic feminism, because this devil has used, this pretty much terminology to pretty much, fool our women into thinking in the process of and bettering themselves, they have ultimately, weaponized, the woman against us to pretty much, kill us off as a nation. All right. So, hopping right into it, I'm gonna get the definition of the word eugenic. All right. So eugenics is the study or practice of attempting to improve the human gene pool by encouraging the reproduction of a superior race and discouraging the reproduction of an inferior race. Now we know that's going into what they deem as the superior race is the so-called white race. So their true nationality is the Edomites, man. All right? And discouraging the reproduction of us, who they deem as the inferior race, man. All right, the mud people, the porch monkeys, the niggas, whatever you want. They got all these names for us, but they look at us as unfit, to reproduce. All right, because ultimately what it is they fear us multiplying because they know that when we outnumber them first and foremost, and they know that in our right state of mind that we have the ability to overtake them as a people, as a nation.
That's right.
All right. So
That's right.
it says, or the science of of generative or procreative development, says doctrine of progress or evolution. Now we know that the whole thing, dealing with evolution was, Esau trying to, prop himself up as being, that superior race, man. All right. And then when you really get into, what evolution was really about, it's pretty much, the forwarding of Esau. All right. And pretty much deeming anybody that's not an Edomite as, inferior, especially dealing with Jake, man. And you want to add anything, brother, you can go ahead.
I got a quick one for you. Now this is Exodus 1 and 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them.
Mm-hmm.
Now there Slakia arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
Mm-hmm.
And so, right here, the king of Egypt began to put legislations in order to stop the proliferation of the Israelites. Okay, and how did he do so? We put us in hardcore bondage, and also actually had it to where our children were actually aborted. If you read down in this particular passage here. Okay, so it's just like how you see ancient Egypt trying to stop the nation of Israel from again proliferating, from growing and becoming excellent. You see the spiritual Egypt doing the same thing. Now it's just a bit more sophisticated with the vocabulary that they use, and also the methods. It's not necessarily just overt, saying murder, but they do it under the banner of, oh well, it's a woman's choice. It's it's for her, health, or all these other excuses that they give. You know what I'm saying?
Con. I want to go into that word. How you said the scriptures say that they dealt wisely with us. When you go into that word wisely,
Mm-hmm.
it goes to the Hebrew word come, and
Mm.
I want to deal with definition E. It says to show oneself wise, to deceive, and that's ultimately how they've done now. Because like you said, they have put you know this new speak into play to it. It's pretty much masking the true intent of what what they plans really are, man.
That's
Because
right.
the whole point of uh, uh women's rights, birth control and feminism, all this is nothing more than an elaborate scheme to pretty much, keep Jake from reproducing. Because this is ultimately who this is all, forwarded to. Because as we read in the scripture, just how Pharaoh did back in ancient Egypt is being applied to now. Because the same way that the Egyptians feared the Israelites multiplying, this is how Jake, is looked at now by Esau, man. They don't want us to multiply because, like I mentioned earlier, they know that we are superior people. That's why you had that movie Get Out a few years ago, pretty much, become popular because they know that we're superior to them in every way. We're the true superior race. All right, we're superior to them mentally, physically, and spiritually. And so to keep us, from overtaking them, they had to, deal wisely with us, which ultimately the real form of them doing that is by
Mm-hmm.
keeping us separated from our power by, telling us that the law, statute, commandments were done away with, that pretty much we can do whatever we felt was, pleasing to us. And in doing so, we have, become, downtrodden as a people. And, we have been, taken out the way of understanding. And so
Mm-hmm.
us following in the ways of Esau now, this is why our people are so messed up. And I wanted to add on to what you just brought out.
Mm-hmm.
This is this is Acts 7 and 19. All right, it's dealing with the same story of Joseph in Egypt. But it says Acts 7:19. It says the same dealt subtly with our kind, and evil entreated our fathers, so that they cast out their young children to the end they might not live. And that's pretty much how they've done now, man. All right,
Mm-hmm.
they've dealt subtly with our kind
Mm.
and treated evil unto our fathers, because with you weaponizing our woman against us, man, we have no control over our offspring, man. All right. They have the ability to abort our children. They're murdering our children before they even have a chance to live. And then the ones that are able to come into this world, all right, they are automatically, brainwashed by the woman into accepting the ways of this world. All right.
That's right.
So they have attacked us on all levels, mainly, mentally and physically, mentally and spiritually. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It says so that they cast out their young children to the end they might not live, because that's the ultimate point, is they wanted to kill us off as a nation. Because eugenics, you know, evolution, this is all different ploys to genocide the nation of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So getting into this whole topic, all right, eugenics was mostly made popular by this Edomite by the name of they call him Sir, because he was knighted, but his name is Francis Galton. All right, and he's known as the father of eugenics. And through him and Margaret Sanger, who was known as the mother of eugenics, all right, they have pretty much pushed forward this whole ideology of women having control over themselves, to where the man has no say so into controlling the house. All right. And the elder Ashiar just put this on the comment board. I'll read it real quick. This is the book of Sirach 3 and 9. It says, "For the blessing of the father established the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations."
Mm.
So when you take the father out the equation and give all this power unto the woman, all right, the father no longer has control on how his house is being ruled. and that's exactly how they wanted it. Because with them, pretty much removing the father, the house is open, for all type of attacks, man. And they know that the woman, hey, she's a natural born follower, so she's attracted to whoever has power. And so since Esau has the one with power, she follows him, whatever he says, man. All right, going all the way back to the garden, all right, with the serpent, man. You know, I'll get that real quick. Um, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 3. I'm gonna start at verse 1.
You want me to read that for you?
Bible Kasha.
Yeah, I can read that for you. Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast on the of the field which Yahweh power had made, and he
Mm-hmm.
said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Right. So dealing with that serpent, we all know it wasn't no actual snake. Okay, it was a man. And then when you go into that word serpent, it actually goes back to a witch, a warlock, man, a person that deals with witchcraft, man. Okay, it says he was more subtle than any beast of the field, and the beasts of the field go into the other nations. All right. It says of the field which the Lord had made, and he said unto the woman, Yea, have Yahweh Shem Shah said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden, because the Lord told us, not to eat of the tree of good and evil. All right,
Right. Which is actions.
that's right.
Those that fruit. It's talking about the actions of the other nations, because the trees can be symbolic for nations also,
That's right.
for just for edification. That's why it says in Matthew the 7th chapter, you should know them by their fruit.
That's right.
Okay. Want me to keep on going, Malak?
Kind, yeah. We'll go down to verse 6.
Okay, jumping down to verse 6.
Oh, Flocky, we'll read down to 6. You keep going from verse
Read
6.
down to 6. Okay,
You
Slack.
good. You good.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Mm-hmm.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
Right, because he put a lie. He put a lie right in front of him, man. Because like you said, those the actions of good and evil. All right, we learn the actions of evil. All right, which is ultimately sin. We would die because we know the wages of sin is death.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Keep on going, brother.
Kind.
Okay. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for the Most High doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one rise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Right. So the ways of wickedness, all right, was pretty much made desirable unto Eve, and she took into it, man. All right, and you can go into the different fruits, being the feminism, that the whole women's liberation, all things that give her power, of free, what you would deem as so-called freedom or liberation, or not liberation or liberty,
That's right.
where she has nobody govern her actions. All right, because the man, as we read earlier, he's the one that sets down the foundation, because women are they're not leaders, they're natural born followers, so they have to be led in the correct way. And we know that the nation of Edom, they don't have anything governing them. They operate off of however they think, and this is why the ways of Esau are conducive to life, because he goes off of everything that goes into the flesh, man. And that's ultimately, what Eve, she saw that and she liked it, man. You're telling her she can pretty much go and have sex with whoever she wanted to. She can pretty much do whatever. All right. They love that, but they don't understand the ramifications of what that really does to us as a nation. And Esau understood that. All right, because he did a diligent, search on us, man. All right,
That's
so
right.
he understood, our kryptonite. All right, he understood our strength, and this is why the society it plays on our weakness, man. You know.
That's right. I got a real quick one for you, Malak.
Hmm.
1 Timothy 5:6. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she that liveth in pleasure is dead already, man. Because hey, they have that that pretty much saying that how to go. So like it just slipped my mind, but pretty much you can do when they live in this lifestyle that they love here in America. That lifestyle ultimately leads unto death, man. All right,
Right.
and
Yeah.
when you actually look at the way
Mm-hmm.
of how these women operate now, man, they are dead inside, man. All right,
Yeah.
they're bugged out. They have all these different men, semen inside of them, and ultimately this lifestyle is made it impossible for these women to pair bond with the men. This is why when you get with a woman that had been with a bunch of dudes, man, that relationship normally doesn't last because she can't pair bond anymore because she's destroyed spiritually, man. You know,
Right.
and that's what ultimately they wanted.
That's right. And they live a life of nihilism. And just for edification, that word nihilism means the rejection of all religious and moral principles and the belief that life is meaningless. So
Damn.
they live a life of decadence, trying to fulfill the lust, under the wisdom of Solomon. What's that, the second chapter mentality, that do with thy will spirit, and it's leading to their death, leading to their
I,
detriment.
I can get that for you since you brought
Kind,
it
yeah, kind, yeah. You
up.
know,
Where do you want to start at?
basically it's like this is start. You can start from the top. I believe it's the second chapter, where it's going to how the wicked say in the heart, the life is basically meaningless.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's live it up. Let's just do our thing. You know what I'm saying?
Kind. Okay, I got you. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy.
Mm-hmm.
Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave."
And that's that agnostic mentality. That agnostic mentality, meaning that let's look it up. Agnosticism. It means a person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence of or a nature of God. So you're skeptical of whether or not there is a power, and that's the
Mhm.
majority of our people. Where they got that ideology from, what I'm saying, the serpent. And before feminism was really a thing, you had in the I want to say in the 19th century, or the 18th century, you had the Enlightened movement that happened. And the Enlightened movement was basically a movement that was more towards the scientific method and reason versus traditional Christian beliefs. And so during the progressive era in the early 1900s, that's when you see really in the late 1800s, 1900s, late 1800s, early 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, right? You had the progressive movement, and that's when you really seen the feminist movement really take off. And during the feminist movement, that's when really women started, white women started pledging or protesting for their rights. Well, that the backing of, if you will, of feminism came from the whole movement away from religion, you know, which when it finally got to all women, it was weaponized. Saying feminism was weaponized, man. So now, fast forward, you see our women, twerking in from a damn Planned Parenthood, making songs out of about having murder on their mind, man. So
Right.
our women live a life of decadence. You see that? And I really kind of I had something I wanted to show the icon. This is exactly what we were going into. It's so much, exactly, in a nutshell, what we wanted to bring out, if it's possible, Malak.
Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to show this real quickly. It's the whole Windows. Let's see here. Windows.
And why you get that out of quick precept?
Okay.
Because how you were speaking about, that whole agnostic, lifestyle that they was pretty much trying to, pushing during that period, because they was, going away from the scriptures and going to that whole, free thinking
Mm-hmm.
way of living. This is Psalms chapter 10, verse 11. No, not 11. Hold on. Verse 4. It says, "The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. God is not in all his thoughts." And Esau, ultimately, he didn't believe in what the Most High, pretty much in the Most High period, in his ways, man. All right. Because they looked at, the Most High's ways as grievous unto them, man, because they wanted to do their own thing. And, ultimately, they didn't review the scriptures as helpful to them. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Read that one more time, Malak.
Con.
So I can catch
This is Psalm chapter 10, verse 4. It says, "The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts."
That's right. The Most High is not in the thoughts of Esau Edom, and it's apparent on how he runs his society, bro. This place is ass backwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's likened to the bizarre world. I'm trying to see if it's playing now. Well, not playing, but I'm showing my screen now.
It's on the screen.
It's on the screen. Okay.
Con.
I'm gonna play this for you guys. Let me know if you hear it, bro.
I don't even care to say her name. And she says in a video that she...
Can you hear it?
Con, it's clear.
All right. Can you see the video? It's not showing on my part. Okay.
It's showing right here. Let me look on the YouTube.
No, okay, it's showing on my. Okay, maybe my phone is old as hell. It's showing. It's showing now. All right, cool. Now,
we good.
Okay, check this out, bro.
I don't even care to say her name. And she says in a video that she has murder on her mind as she twerks in front of Planned Parenthood. Take a listen.
Baby daddy free, that me I ain't got a baby coming out of me, so I'm ABORTING on my way to the clinic. I forgot the plan B. Let's go.
You see that shit?
Man.
This is the lifestyle that our women are living, and ultimately, you could blame that on Esau Edom.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You could blame that on Esau Edom, man.
The elder just put this on the comments. He said, "Progressivism arose during the age of enlightenment out of the belief that civility in Europe was improving due to the application of a new empirical knowledge of the governance of society. Earlier 20th century progressivism included support for compulsory sterilization and eugenics.
Mm-hmm.
The temperance movement, American engagement in World War I, and the creation of and participation of the League of Nations." Heavy.
Yeah, beautifully put, man. And it said right there, the support of sterilization and eugenics. Now, what was that sterilization? Now, the brother number one, he brought out a beautiful example of that with the Amazon series Underground, and how you had in the episode a city that allowed Jake to be so-called free, but in order for you to be free, what did you have to take? Well, the males had to take these certain pills that women had to get these procedures in order for them not to reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And after the Civil War, you know what I'm saying, really in the early 1900s, that's what you see was going on, man. You were seeing Jake be sterilized a lot of times unknowingly. Now Jake does it. Uh, Jake does it willingly with birth control, Plan B. She was if you just heard her reading homegirl rapper. She said, "Oh, I forgot the Plan B." It's talking about a Plan B pill.
Right.
Now I have to go to the clinic. Now it's a part of Jake's culture.
Right.
Subculture, I should say. You see?
Man. And it show you that, Esau strategically, put that in the minds of our people to make that, a constant in our so-called community, which I don't even like using that word, but pretty much that's a lifestyle choice now that Jake has, man, because birth control really it was a way to pretty much help stop the spread of our people, because one of the first commandments that the Most High gave men was to be fruitful and multiply, man.
That's right.
But here it is, this damn devil, in his arms of trying to keep Jake pretty much from reproducing, brought forth contraceptives, man. Condoms. All right, you got female condoms, you got Plan Bs and all this. And really, when you go into that stuff, man, that shit is detrimental to us as a people, man. Hey, putting that's latex on your rod, man, that's actually harming you, man. All right, the freaking Plan Bs and abortion that messes up women. So in the means of saying that that's helping you is actually destroying you, man. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Because dealing with Margaret Sanger, who funded or founded Planned Parenthood. All right. Planned Parenthood actually started out by another name, which it was started out in 1921 under the name of the American Birth Control League, and then was later changed to Planned Parenthood. Because when you hear that name Planned Parenthood, you thinking, all right, that Esau is going to help you, help plan your family to help you, pretty much get up in life. But if that's the case, why is the main purpose of Planned Parenthood to help people that don't have families get established, to pretty much keep them from making their family established, man?
Mm-hmm.
That's a ploy by this devil to pretty much destroy you, man.
That's right.
Because going into what the whole birth control thing was, according to her, she claimed that birth control was an economical, psychological, biological, and spiritual way to pretty much give women freedom. All right. She said that birth control liberated the spirit of women, releasing them for parental responsibilities, man. But at the end of the day, we know now that was used as a way to kill us, man. All right, to keep us from growing as a people, because the way they viewed us back then, which they still do now, but just it's more subtle now, is they looked at us as undesirables. Going back to that definition of what eugenics is, man. All right,
That's right.
because they looked at us as unfit to reproduce. So they didn't want to come out and just say, "Well, we don't want you, you poor people, you undesirables to have babies." So Esau with his smooth tongue, all right, that tongue that's smooth than oil, but war was in his heart, all right. He had to bring in a more smoother way of saying that without saying it. So they had birth control, which was a smoother way of telling the undesirables to stop reproducing. You can still do what you do, but just
just taper
wear
it off. Yeah, wear time. Right. Hey, Malak, can I get this definition for you?
You got it.
Now this is the term eugenic feminist. It says eugenic feminism was the idea that the only way the race could improve was through the equality of women's sexual and social rights, It can be seen as the support of women have control over their reproduction rather than having eugenics for a betterment of the population. And what you had just read with Margaret Sanger ties into this. Eugenic. When we think of eugenics, it's two heads to the coin. It's basically the increase or the betterment of the race or the gene that they deem as superior, and conversely, the destruction of those who they deem as inferior. And so initially, when these contraceptives you know were distributed, it was for uh white women to have a say so on who they have a child with. So say if they have, to stop them having, a child with somebody who they deem as a degenerate, what I'm saying, or inferior race. And at that time, you gotta think it was, these various immigrants, so-called white immigrants that was coming from Eastern Europe, you know, people Jake from Italy, what I'm saying? There's a lot of Jake in Eastern Europe too. What I'm saying? That they was trying to stop from the Anglo-Saxon from procreating with. Okay.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they don't want us to spread it to people. Because like we brought out earlier, they know that no matter what they do to Jake gonna continue to reproduce, man. All right. As going back to that Exodus real quick. Uh, this is Exodus chapter 1 verse. I'm gonna jump down to verse 19. It said, "Therefore they did they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Fidam and Ramses. And the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were agreed because of the children of Israel." Now, you look at how it is today. Esau has put Jake in the most terrible situations. All right, our people grow up in the slums and the ghettos and the bodegas. Barely making it. Figuring out how they got to do. How to survive day to day. All right, and yet throughout all that trouble, our people are still reproducing, man. At a high rate. All right. Throughout all the different sterilization, all that, our people are still repopulating, man. All right. So it says, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage and mortar and brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, which the name of one was Sephora, and the name of the other Pua. And he said, when ye do the office of the midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Right. So going back to how it said that they made our lives bitter. And what was especially the man, what's our main source of relief? All right, it's through sex, man. Hey, you get your rocks off, man.
Yep.
Your worries for that particular day is gone for a little bit. You take your mind off, put your mind at ease, pretty much, man. That's what our women was put here to help be that pillar of rest for. So they saw that was what we were doing, and so now they had the plan to kill off us as a people. So it started with the pharaohs killing our sons pretty much. And continuing on, verse 18, and the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, verse 17, and the midwives feared the Most High and did as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. Because no matter what you devils try to do, you try to genocide us, the Most High is always going to keep a remnant of Jake from being killed, man.
That's right. Hey, Malak, I got a real quick one for you.
You got it.
Now this is a GMS upon precepts 2, Matthew 12 and 29. Or else how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his good, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. So going back into what you're bringing out, man. You know, there's a strategic attack on Jake males, in particular, the head tribe, man, Judah. Okay, and that's why you see, you know, a huge push of feminism within the so-called black community, because it's really you know uh, uh, used to attack, you know what I'm saying, the the power of Jake males, man, or Judite males. You see what I'm saying? And also, that's why the number one place in which a child is unsafe is in the mother's womb, a so-called black mother's womb.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. And to add to your point, you go into that word bind in that scripture, it goes to the word, I believe you say it is dio, and definition B1, it says Satan is said to bind a woman bent together by means of a demon as his messenger,
Mm.
taking possession of the woman and preventing her from standing upright. And that's
Man,
exactly what has happened.
that demon, that damn serpent that we read about in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They use all those great swelling words to encapsulate the minds of the women in the men. Okay. I got a quick one for you.
You got it.
Isaiah 32:7. The instruments also of the true are evil.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking up that word cruel. Uh it's what's that? Kaya la ya Kalaya. And it says a scoundrel, a damn scoundrel, knave. Let me look at that word scoundrel, just for edification. It says scoundrel, a dishonest or unscrupulous person, a rogue. You know what I'm saying? So the instruments of somebody of a scoundrel, man, they're cruel, they're evil, bro. And Esau Edom, you know what I'm saying, has fed, our women this feminism, man, and it's been to their detriment. You see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And you have to remember, where did our women get feminism from? Well, feminism ultimately came out of, as I said earlier, the industrial revolution. Well, it was a huge catalyst that was the industrial revolution. You see what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Which I have the definition of the industrial revolution, because I just want to play something. I just want to show something to these brothers right quick, just about it. You know what I'm saying? The Industrial Revolution was the transition to the manufacturing process in Great Britain, continental Europe, and United States that occurred during the period of from around 17th century to about 820 to 1820 to 1840. Right, this transition including going from hand production methods to machines, new chemical manufacturing, and iron production processes, the including use of steam power and water power, the development of machine tools, and the rise of uh, mechanized factory systems. And so this greatly changed like the economy of how things were done. And with that being said, it changed the life in women, man. You see what I'm saying? It says I'm in Google, I'm in Wikipedia right now. It says the effect of women in life and family life. Women's historians have debated the effect of the Industrial Revolution and capitalism generally on the status of women. Taking a pessimistic, which we don't have to get into all that, what she's talking about. I wanted to get to a point. It says Clark argued in the 16th century Europe, women were engaged in many aspects of industry and agriculture. The home was a central unit of production, and women played a vital role in running farms and in some trades and landed estates. So all that, saying, what they were producing was in the house. You see that? The agriculture, them knitting, all the talents that the woman had was going to the house. But during the industrial revolution, or when these various manufacturing jobs began to take sprout, well, you had it to where women were leaving, saying that their respective house, their individual house, and they were going to these workplaces. You know what I'm saying? Well, they're in the early stages of the workplaces. What was going on, man? These women, were were a lot of these poor women, I should say, white women were working in subpar uh conditions,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so the early stages of feminism was really like basically ensuring that these women were getting paid properly, that
Mm-hmm.
they're working in proper conditions. And all these was based off of the protection of uh so-called European or Edomite women, man. That's where you had what's the name, Ingersoll come in.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And people who was his contemporary, like Elizabeth Scanton, Elizabeth Candy Scanton, which these early feminists, if you look them up, they were racist, bro.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They were racist. Now, why are we bringing all this out? We're bringing this out to show you that from the beginning, this movement was never for Jake women.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And the thought process towards Jake women was that of their male counterpart, these so-called family mothers. You see what I'm saying? Uh, I didn't want to dive into the deep end. Can I remember that clip that I was showing you? Let you hear out?
Yeah, yeah. Put that on. That was heavy.
Can I play it for you?
Kind.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to play it for you. And just keep in mind what matter of fact, let me finish before I get to that. I want to finish. Let me finish this in Isaiah 32.
You got it.
Isaiah 32:7. The instruments of the true are evil, the scoundrel, right? The nigga the nigga that the low life. He devises wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right.
Mm-hmm.
So here you have it in the early stages of feminism. Yes, okay, women go to work. Yeah, hey, pay them justly, but it morphed to something way more insidious. You okay? Now, I'm gonna play this for you guys. Just dealing with Elizabeth uh Candy Scadden.
If I could get something real quick, just to add on to what you were saying about the workplace, because
of course.
if you dealing with Ingersoll, the woman, all right, he was pushing for the equality in the workplace or whatever. But you had one of the worst employee accidents in history, where they called it the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. They
I
said
got
that
you. I got you right here if you want me to
you got
grab it for you. Uh let's get into it. This is just yeah, I'm gonna get straight to it. Ingersoll wrote. Now, this is a famous feminist before feminism was taken off, but Ingersoll wrote these words more than 2 decades before the triangular Cert waste fire, the fire which killed 145 workers, 123 of them women, remains the deadliest workplace accident. In fact, the catastrophe was a predictable consequence of abysmal contemporary labor practices in New York city history.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the beginning of the industrial, revolution. You know what I'm saying? So work conditions were subpar.
That's right.
Okay, so you had people that was advocating for, okay, if these women gonna work, they need to be in certain work conditions and they need to get paid, equally. Okay, cool, but again, it morphed to something different because the people who was over these movement was the devils, the demons,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't. And again, just reinforcing what the brothers briefly bringing out, this movement was never originally for you so-called black women, you
Mm-hmm.
Judite women, you Israelite women, you Southern tribe women. Okay, did you have some more on that, Doc?
Now that was it. Did you want to put the video on the screen, or you just want to play it like last time?
I could put it on the screen.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? See it. All right, and there we go. Let me know if you can hear me a lot.
Gotcha.
Comment that she got from any black woman.
Do you know what's?
Let me know if you can hear me a lot.
Yep. You good?
Okay.
I think the volume's down now.
Oh shit! I was like, damn, I ain't want to play.
My sister was always
There we go.
Men and women. It was
Let
also
me play it from the beginning.
Susan B. Anthony became the first woman on a dollar coin. In the 19th century, she fought for the right of American women to vote. But her friend, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, was at least as significant. Her demands for women's rights were more sweeping. In fact, one of her biographers, Lori Ginsburg, says Stanton raced from one issue to another. She was a radical thinker.
You know, I think
Now this is going to Elizabeth Candy's scat. Now, the reason why I'm bringing her out is because we're giving a backdrop of feminism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the inception of feminism? Well, it sprung out in the in the late 1800s. A catalyst to that to the movement was the Industrial Revolution, Enlightenment thinking, right, and also the education of women. Women were going to colleges and things of that nature. Now, this is one of the first generations, alluding to Elizabeth and people like Susan B. Anthony. They were one of the first generations that received that secondary education, going to college, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And so with this new economy, new way of thinking going on, you had feminism basically being birthed. Okay.
both radical thinkers and strategists. And if she wanted to have a career where she was on a coin and remembered for accomplishing a particular goal, then yeah, we could say she sabotaged herself.
But let's look this morning at the influential woman who did not end up on a dollar coin. We've been hearing new interpretations of the 1800s, a century that shaped our nation. Lori Ginsburg says Elizabeth Cady Stanton deeply influenced women's rights as we talk of them today, even though she didn't really fight for all women.
She certainly...
See how they stuck that in, even though she really didn't fight for all women. Why is that? Because she was a eugenic feminist.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Margaret Sanger. She was advocating for women's rights, but for white women's rights, for the proliferation of their race, not for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay?
Claimed that she fought for the rights of all women. She fought to end the barriers that denied American citizens their rights purely on the basis of sex. And she demanded rights that not one of us would be willing to give up. I mean, she demanded access to, in the true liberal tradition, access to the mainstream of American society, in terms of professions, education, law, politics, property, and so on. But when she said women, I think, and I argue this in the book, that she primarily had in mind women much like herself, white, middle class, culturally, if not religiously proud.
Now you see how Esau beautifully points out, yeah, she fought for rights in all aspects of education, careers, things of that nature. But when you talk about fight for rights, she it wasn't for everybody. In layman terms, or how we say things, it wasn't for you niggas, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And these are the words that these scriptures warn us about when dealing with Esau Edom. You know what I'm saying? He used all these eloquent words to cover up his bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm speaking rashly, for a reason, so brothers' ears can really just kind of pay attention to what's being said by Esau Edom. Okay.
Justly Protestant, propertied, well educated. And my disagreement with Stanton is that she came to phrase women too as women first, and came to see women like herself as more deserving of rights than other people.
Wait a minute. What do you mean women first? What does that mean as opposed to women too?
In the post-Civil War period, when there was a battle among abolitionists, of which Stanton counted herself, between having a 15th Amendment that gave black men the vote or holding out for a...
So during the Reconstruction era, the 15th Amendment was passed. The 15th Amendment basically gave Jake males the right to vote. Now, Elizabeth Cady Stanton was vehemently against that. In fact, she started spewing racist rhetoric to condone her stance. And this is going to expound on it.
For a suffrage amendment that granted the vote to all adult Americans. Stanton and her friend Susan B. Anthony stood on what they claimed was the highest moral ground by demanding universal rights for all, and not being willing. Historians have argued about this ever since.
So they say, well, they stood on a higher moral ground. And how do you, even though they was spewing racism, right? Now you see the contradiction of Esau Edom when you really listen to what
being willing to sacrifice
I'll let it play.
Women's rights for the politically expedient challenge of gaining rights for black men. Except that she didn't just stand on the moral high ground. She also descended to some rather ugly racist rhetoric along the lines of, we, educated, virtuous white women, are more worthy of the vote.
Let's reconstruct the historical moment.
You see that? So she said, look, these niggas ain't even worthy to vote. Us educated white women, we're more worthy. Okay?
Here, the Civil War was fought, of course, and the slaves were ultimately freed at the end of the war. African Americans were granted full citizenship through changes in the Constitution. The question was what was going to happen with women, and she wasn't happy taking a back seat to African Americans.
Well, I would phrase that somewhat differently, if I may. African American men were granted the rights of citizens, and African American women, of course, weren't. And there were differences among abolitionists in the North about this. Do we hold out for the, as I say, the fullest possible suffrage for all of...
Just for edification, for those who don't know, abolitionists was people who were not proponents or I should say proponents for the ending of slavery. Now, supposedly this woman, Stanton, was an abolitionist, but she was still a racist, you see. And you see the same type of sneakiness within, the Democratic Party, man.
Yep.
In these various parties. They seem to be for Jake, but in all actuality, they're using you as, a political pawn. And that's precisely what this woman was doing. You know what I'm saying? Wanted to come and seem as if she was just so progressive, right? And so, morally, morally pure, because she wanted to free the niggers. But in fact, she was just trying to get help. She was just doing all these things for her gain.
Mm-hmm.
To what? To receive suffrage for her people, for
Mm-hmm.
her kind. That's why you should never trust your enemies, you you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans.
Kind.
Okay,
I got a quick precept for you.
go ahead, Malak.
This is Psalms 55 and 21. It said the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
That's right.
His
Woo!
words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Yeah, so all these political jargon that Esau even used, and the word jargon just means a vocabulary that's specific towards a certain subject. So all these political jargons that Esau Edom uses sounds good. It sounds like it's gonna produce freedom and equality. But in all actuality, these various rhetoric that he uses is used to put our people into severe captivity and severe mental captivity.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the number one person who's in a single household or raising a single household is a so-called black woman.
Facts.
And that's why, but economically speaking, that household is behind, or those individuals are behind, because it lacks the man, it lacks defense, it lacks its strength. Right now, women, so-called black women, are being evicted at an exponential rate. Why is that? Because they was uh, taught that they don't need a man. Where in fact, in order for you to make it nowadays, shit, you need a damn roommate, man.
Right.
You need two incomes,
Right.
right?
And
So all this was fed to us by a particular people who thought that we are inferior. When I say fed, I'm alluding to feminism. They fed us feminism, under the banner of we're going to free, we're going to free you, or equality, when in fact it's put us in a even worse predicament, man. Post civil rights movement, you see that? And again, it was given to you by people who deemed you as inferior, as subhuman.
that's right.
Even a feminist. I'm gonna keep playing this.
I got one more for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you good, Salaki? This is from the beloved brother in Canada, Kayana Posh. It says GMS contrition is key God, Sirach 14 and 7. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. And that's everything that you have went into, because in the guise of pretty much women, the betterment of women, all right, it's coming out now that all this it was really a ploy to really destroy us, man, because we're getting into the beginning of feminism, and that what we're speaking of now, that was the first wave of feminism,
Yep.
which
Yes, sir.
you were saying you were going into about that was for the women fighting for equality in the workplace and all that, but what we're witnessing now is the third wave of feminism, which is pretty much militarized feminism, where it's now become a weapon against the men to pretty much make the women pretty much hate men and look at us like we're the reason why they're oppressed, man.
That's right. That's right. Yep. That's it, bro. We're gonna have to do a part 2 to this to get into that. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Really
right.
dive into that. You know what I'm saying? Just thinking out loud. But may I play this for you?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Current emergency with terrible news of racist violence coming north. Do we give the Black community in some form the voting rights that we're able to gain for them in the current political climate? And it's a political fight that many of us relate to. Do we hold out for the biggest possible thing, or do we recognize the emergency of the moment and get rights or the tool of political power for whatever groups we can? But Stanton didn't just stay on the moral high ground. Instead, she talked about how much worse Black men would be as voters than the white women about whom she was concerned.
So here is, if y'all heard what Esau was saying, she said, Well, in political issues, sometimes you have to, you know, see the bigger picture. So, before you get uh, your agenda fulfilled. But
Mm-hmm.
but instead of doing that, you know, old Scatton, she started talking about how so-called black men will be less better voters than white women, showing you that she thought that you so-called Negroes were inferior.
Right.
Okay, now this is one of the founding going just bringing it all back to full circle. This is a founding mother of feminism talking
Mm-hmm.
here, and listen to what she's going to say.
He was really quite dismissive of black women's claims.
She even argued that, if I'm not mistaken, that it could be harmful to women to allow themselves to be placed under, in some sense, the rule of black men, were black men to be given the vote.
Yeah, there were some comments about what will we and our daughters suffer if these degraded black men are allowed to have the rights that would make them even worse than our Saxon fathers. She has one, I think, inexplicable comment about black women would find an even worse slavery under black men than they did under their former white slave owners, which
Y'all hear that? This woman said that black women will be under more oppression, more tyranny, than they received under white men during slavery. And now fast forward, you have actual women out there to say, I would never bow down to a man because why didn't y'all bow down to the white man during slavery?
Mm-hmm.
It's oppressive. And it's not coincidental that a founding mother of feminism had that same ideology, bro.
Exactly.
You did?
Man. And what makes it crazy is that all these people, let me say, what's the name, Scatton,
Mm-hmm.
her, Margaret Sanger, all these people, they all share the same ideology, man. Because as far as going back to Margaret Sanger, all right, she, as I mentioned earlier, she looked at the undesirables, which is Jake, pretty much, she didn't want them reproducing, but she lived that lifestyle that pretty much was started by that first wave of feminism, because she pretty much was married. She had an affair with he's a known eugenic. I forget his name. H.G. Wells, who was a known she pushed for evolution. So she was for the idea of women, pretty much being able to pretty much live carefree and not have to worry about the consequences of getting pregnant, and pretty much because they understood once they got pregnant, they were bound under that man, and so they didn't want to have to worry about having giving that power away to the man. So this is where birth control comes into play at, and
Mm.
and that ultimately led to the sexual revolution, the women's liberation, all that. Now she wrote a book. Let's see if I can get it on the screen real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get an excerpt out of the book.
God.
So let me see. Can you see it on the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm gonna jump down to the bottom paragraph of this. So it's called a moral necessity for birth control. She wrote this in 1922. Now it says the moral justification and ethical necessity of birth control need not to be empirically based upon the mere approval of experience and custom. It is more profound. Because remember I said earlier how she viewed birth control as economical, psychological, biological, and spiritually, liberating to the spirit of women. All right. So it says birth control is an ethical necessity for humanity today because it places in our hands a new instrument of self-expression and self-realization. All right, giving them power. Okay, it gives us control over one of the primordial forces of nature, to which in the past the majority of mankind have been enslaved, and by which it has been cheapened and debased. It arouses us to the possibility of newer and greater freedom, because with the creation of birth control, it pretty much lessened the the pretty much it lessened sex, man. All right, it pretty much took away the spiritual side of it, and it just made it all just about pleasure. All right, it took away the responsibilities of what it was for and all, man. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So it says it develops the power, the responsibility, and intelligence to use this freedom in a living. It's like in living a liberated and abundant lifestyle. So that's pretty much where you get whole culture from, man.
The
Which
whole
she was a major proponent of, because, like I mentioned earlier, she was a advocate of pretty much living how she wanted to, which goes back to that definition you brought up earlier about the eugenic feminism. All right,
Mhm.
because they looked at it as that gave women control over who they were, who they could have babies by, because they understood that hey, women, Edomites, they love Jake. We all know that. You see that in all these slave movies, Mandingo and such. All right, so she looked at it as that would be an issue for the whole proponents of eugenics if you got Edomite women out here having babies with Jake. So that's why they was pushing forward for this birth control, man. All right, so pretty much they had that to where, all right, well, they could still have their fun, 'cause that's like a guilty pleasure to them. They can have their fun, but then when it was time for them to bring
Such
forth
man.
children, that's
Mhm.
when you go and find you a Edomite, and you bring forth them Edomite children, man. All right, don't be
Mhm.
bringing forth no damn dark babies.
Mm.
So it continues on. It says, it permits us to enjoy this liberty without danger of infringing upon the similar liberty of our fellow men, or of injuring and curtailing the freedom of the next generation. So they
And that's
wanted
what
to
it was.
go ahead, Saki.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I said that's what it was. It's about control.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an attribute of, well, this is a problem that Eve has, because after falling after the serpent, wanted to control her man with what? Sex.
That's right.
Or control her man, period, man. I got a real quick one for you.
You got it.
Uh um Now this is after this is the most High cursing Eve. Uh Genesis 3:16. I'm gonna read it in NLT. Then he said to the woman, I will sharpen the pain of your pregnancy, and in pain you will give birth, and you will desire to control your husband,
Mm,
but he will rule over you. You see that? And the reason why has that desire, Eve has that desire, is because she bit or well she she took of that fruit,
mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, that she wasn't supposed to. But how much more so for, you know what I'm saying, those trees that produce that fruit, you know what I'm saying, or the children, or the daughter of perdition, you know what I'm
Right.
saying. Her sole purpose is to, rebel against um her role as a woman, bro.
Mm-hmm.
See that early in early writings of Margaret Sanger.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what the brother's bringing out beautifully.
Because like we just went into the Edomite woman, that whole concept of equality was for them to be on the same level as the Edomite men. All right, that had nothing to do with bringing equality for all women, because they didn't look at all races on the same, or all nations was the correct way to say that, all nations on the same level. So finishing out, it says it shows us that we need not seek in the amassing of worldly wealth, nor in the illusion of some extraterrestrial heaven or earthly utopia of a remote future, in the road to human development, the kingdom of heaven is in a very definitive sense within us, not by leaving. You gonna say something?
Yeah, I mean, if you, they're rebelling. She's rebelling against the Most High.
Exactly.
You hear what she's saying? She's saying, look, we don't have to wait till we get to heaven to receive the kingdom of heaven. We could establish our own kingdom of heaven here.
Right.
All we have to do is just take take hold on to genetics, and once we're able to perfect genetics, perfect our genes, then we could create a utopia on earth. But it starts with us. It starts with us women having the right to be able to dictate who we procreate with, which is the beginning, like you was going into. We gotta do a part. We gotta do another part. I was going into transhumanism. Okay.
Kind. So I'll finish it out. It says the kingdom of heaven is in a very definite sense within us, because now they have the ability to run rapid, run through as many men as they want and not have to worry about getting pregnant. It says, not by leaving our body or our fundamental humanity behind us, not by aiming to be anything but what we are, shall we become ennobled or immortal. It's straight up blasphemy, man. It says, by knowing ourselves, by expressing ourselves, by realizing ourselves more completely than have ever been possible, not only shall we attain the kingdom ourselves, but we shall hand on the torch of life undimmed to our children and the children of our children, man. God damn, bro.
Hey, that's the second Thessalonians mentality, bro.
Exactly.
We should become gods.
Yeah.
You see?
And see, this whole philosophy, was pretty much, putting forth this whole thought of, they don't need to listen to the men. You can pretty much establish yourself here, because women use that same rhetoric of, them being hoes as a form of self-expression,
right?
Which is not, man. It's actually destruction. That's why the scripture you brought out earlier about, she that liveth in pleasure is dead already. All right. They pretty much, are destroying themselves, man. And it was used as a means of, because what Margaret Sanger had to do to help further push this ideology along, she had to go and merge science in with it. And this is where it's like this wrong one. This is where Ingersoll comes back into play at. All right. So this is it's from the 100th anniversary of the death of Robert Greene Ingersoll. All right. And in this part that I have highlighted on the screen, all right, it says, referring to women's position in pre-suffrage America, it says Ingersoll's opinions about birth control and voluntary parenthood will find more agreement today. It says science must make women the owner, the mistress of herself. Science, the only possible savior of mankind, which is once again, like you said, that Second Thessalonians behavior, because they're trying to establish themselves as being the Most High. All right, through science, which is really pseudoscience, which is fake. All right, it says science, the only possible savior of mankind, must put it in the power of woman to decide for herself whether she will or will not become a mother. This is the whole question. This frees women. It frees women for what? Her duties as being a helpmate, a wife to the man, and being a mother, which is really ultimately to be a servant to a man, which is where all this is coming from. Women rebelling from that duty. All right. It says the babies that are born will be welcome. They will be clasped with glad hands, the happy breath. They will fill with light. They will fill homes with light and joy. So it says, hoping to rid women of the superstitions that had for so long kept them subordinate, he said, as long as women regard the Bible as the charter of her rights, she will be the slave of man.
Yep.
Come on, man.
The order. That order that was ordained, they pushing to get away from that order, man.
That's right.
Ooh, can I get one for you?
You got it.
Psalms 14:1. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no power. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doth good. That doeth good.
Yeah, none of these devils they don't do good, man. And as the scripture said, the things that they put forth as seeming good, all right, the wickedness is shown forth in the end because they're never going to do anything beneficial for nobody but themselves, man. And everything that they forward for themselves is the forward wickedness, man. All right. This devil he's a damn demon, man. All right. And this whole, this whole topic that we're bringing out is just further showing you how they're trying to separate man from the Bible more and more and pretty much make science a new religion. All right. It says the Bible was not written by a woman. Within its lids, there is nothing but humiliation and shame. She is regarded. It says, she is regarded as the property of man, which she is. All right, because the scriptures tell you that when a man get up a woman, he get up a possession, man. All right, because when you go into the word of woman, when you go into the etymology of woman, it means a female servant, because you were put here to be a helpmate, man. All right. So that's the whole part of how the dynamic of the family structure work, man. All right. You were put here to help the man. All right. So it says Ingersoll's views that religion was the primary source of women's oppression was shared by the renowned suffrage leader Elizabeth Cady Stanton. See how it all ties together?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Beautiful. Beautiful, brother.
Man.
No. Hey, no.
Hey, the spirit is bad, man.
Hey, for real. You did that. Hey.
Man,
God, brother.
I got one more, and then whatever you guys say, we can cover after that.
God.
We keep speaking about this is that behavior right here, man. This is that 2 Thessalonians behavior, man. All right. So I might as well go ahead and get it. All right. So this is 2 Thessalonians starting at this is chapter 2, starting at verse 3. It says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition."
And which you fell in 70 AD.
Yep.
No. Hey, did you want me to read it for you, brother? I could read it for you.
Oh, well, yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, because 2 Thessalonians 2:3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
Yeah, that man of sin is being revealed now, man. All right. Esau, Edom is that son of perdition, man. He's the man of sin. That word perdition goes into destruction. And Esau has successfully destroyed the Israelite, household, man. Okay. Through him, quote unquote, empowering women. All right. You can go continue on.
Kind. Who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High.
And that's the whole accumulation of why you're seeing everything taking place as it is now, man, because he's trying to establish himself as God. And as we have went further and further and further away from the scriptures, all right, this is why everything, is pretty much taking the Most High out of the equation and pushing forth science as the new way of life, man. All right. And it started, like you said earlier, with that Enlightenment period where people were, pretty much starting to question, the scriptures and pretty much, having their own way of thinking. And look where that's gotten now, man. Like you said, you got women twerking in front of a Planned Parenthood, an abortion clinic, man. All right. Bragging about murdering unborn children, man. This is why this man is the devil, man. All right.
Yes, bro. Man, you want me to keep on going?
that was pretty much the point, you know. Like I
That's it,
said, we're
yeah.
gonna do a part 2. You know, we can end right there.
Yeah.
It's so this topic is
It's
so
deep.
vast, man. It's
Yes.
heavy.
It's very heavy. Yep. Mm-hmm. Very heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. Any closing words?
No, brother. I, the water for having me.
Man, the wonderful, assistant, man. Hey, at the end of the day, like I said, Lord willing, we could do a part 2 to this, and continue to bring out the ramifications of all what has been, talked about here. So, we're gonna go ahead and close this lesson out by giving all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakar Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, the great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring and that believe on the names of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, and truth and sincerity to you, say Shalom.
Shalom.